Match week 8 is in the books. United lose to Leicester and perhaps, dare I say, are falling apart, Sam. Liverpool and City win in comfortable fashion. Bad guys Chelsea grind out a win against good guys Brentford. Exciting finishes at Villa Park and the Emirates. All that, along with Sam paying his respects to Bruce Ball on this week's episode of the Premiership Perusal podcast.
Manchester City are still alive here. Balotelli, Aguero! Back, Fuchs, and the ball in behind Damian Vardy! It's 11! It's heaven for Jamie Vardy!
You are an ostrich. Well, your head must be in the sand. Is your head in the sand? Are you flexible enough to get your head in the sand?
Now the fans are shouting every week, Louis van Gaal's army! Louis van Gaal's army!
Feet after a fabulous start, the game just got away from you there.
I have nothing to say.
Nothing to say about the game at all.
Drama from day one! This is the league we want to watch!
What up, brother? Yeah, you know what, this first game that we got is honestly like remember Leicester used to, I mean, they still play that song and their fans chant it? That like goal song they have where it's like, yeah, that song? That song, that's what this game was.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's like when Leicester, I always think of that song when Leicester win 9-0 against Southampton.
Yeah.
That
Just
can be
endless.
templated any time that like
Classic.
it's a blowout.
Yeah. This was like an early prelim if we're talking about fights because this was, pretty one-sided.
Yeah, it's like you get that update from Bleacher Report and it's like, guy knocked out in 6 seconds. That was pretty much this game. It was just brutal right off the bat. We'll start off. We're, of course, talking about Watford, Liverpool.
Yes.
First match of match week 8. Start off with Watford. We got Ben Foster, Danny Roos, Trost Ekong, Messina, Cathcart, Femenia, Musa Sissoko, Manuel Dennis, Cucho Hernandez, Kuchka, Sar, and Bachmann.
On the bench.
Yeah, why'd you scroll down so far? They were allowed an extra goalie and they still conceded 5. As far as Liverpool go, we got a little rotation. We got Keller, Van Dijk, Robertson, Matip, Alexander-Arnold. So the main back 4 back, all healthy for them, and they use it up against Watford.
Can we just pause? Can you tell me the first name of the goalkeeper, Mr. Kelleher?
Kawahamin.
I think it's pronounced Cowman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Irish
Cowman.
are weird people.
Yeah, a lot of weird things going on in that name. A lot of vowels.
Anytime it's CAO and it's cow, I'm already at a loss.
Yeah.
Milner, Keita, Hendo, Firmino, Sane, Mane, and Salah.
It's kind of like Sane. Sadio Mane. Sane.
Yeah, but he's better than Sane.
Yeah, that's true.
So this one starts off. It's just stinky.
With a goal.
It's so bad the whole time. The pass by Salah's great.
Yeah.
I'll give him that.
Yeah, 1-0. Salah, amazing curling ball, just inch perfect to Sadio Mane.
Who's all the way through?
Takes it first time, bottom corner. Cool as you like.
Mm-hmm.
Watford.
It's
wondering,
already.
Oh boy.
It's already over. Like I said
The good
with Watford.
vibes.
Like I say with Watford, first 4 minutes you can tell if it's going or if it's not going. It was not going to go. And
Yeah.
Ranieri's debut just didn't matter in this one, anyways, because Liverpool are too good. But they had some okay play from Ben Foster, but
Yeah,
even
that was kind of like their one bright spot.
It's rough when you're a team that's relegation bound, and it's like, well, you have 2 decent keepers, and those are like 2 of your 5 best players.
Yeah, and you can only play one at a time.
Yeah, it's...
They kind of got the like Southampton situation where they rotate their goalkeepers, except they're actually not
good,
bad.
yeah. Well, not good, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Good relative to the rest of the squad.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just... I mean, and you see it in this game. Obviously, it's going to be a major theme, but it's just getting outclassed in midfield. And then even when it comes to getting to the second and third ball, it feels like they're always so slow compared to other teams.
Yeah.
No different in this game.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, this one looked like a training match. The way that Liverpool were just so in control for most of the match. I mean, Watford had, maybe a moment or two, but really it was all Liverpool. They didn't really look like they were breaking a sweat.
James Milner's out here tearing it up on you.
On the overlap.
Yeah, you got the second goal. It's, well, I mean, and Keita too. He's been doing so well lately. In their Champions League match this week, he scored again. But it's, maybe I'm gonna have to eat my words about their depth.
It's still
early, but
still risky though. I mean, they're pretty thin.
Yeah, but it's clicking right now, and
It
when
is
it's clicking,
clicking.
you feel dumb betting.
It's also
against them.
Watford, so
True.
you get away with the Milner.
Yeah, I mean, this game just shows Liverpool's individual skill and how good they are, and you combine them into one. I mean, it's just a machine that's going to take out a team like Watford. But no, Liverpool really effective, really just creating goal-scoring chances the whole game. It felt like they really didn't let up until like the 60th, 70th minute. They kind of took it easy, and then they even got one after that.
Yep, so 2-0. Firmino gets a second goal, goes into halftime, 2-0. Liverpool not needing to break a sweat, like I said. Could have scored like 5.
Yeah.
Easily that half. Second half, Salah again coming out, making Foster make the saves. But then Liverpool will get their third goal, almost an own goal from Cathcart. It's a rough go there, but Ben Foster saves it, rebounds to Firmino, gets his second goal. He's kind of setting himself up for the hat trick of tap-ins.
Yes. What else is new?
4-0
He always has a game during the year where he just pops off for like 3 goals.
Yeah.
Roberto Firmino, and it's like, okay. It's like, but he's never going to do that on a consistent basis. And
Right.
he can't even get like one on a consistent basis. He used to always be able to, but
Yep, 4-0. Salah with the nifty footwork in the box. Just a beautiful goal. I mean,
it's
insane talent.
With 3 guys draped on him, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? The guy's insane right now. He's
Yeah.
best player in the world, potentially. Best player in the Premier League, to say the least.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. So is he, for you, number 1 right now
In the Premier League?
in the world?
Right now, you'd have to say probably.
Yeah, I would say too.
Yeah. But have you considered that Robert Lewandowski gets to play against Poop and Charlton FC and gets a bunch of tap-ins?
Braunschweig! Shout out Braunschweig.
Oh. No, I mean, I think it has to be Salah right now.
Yeah, I
He's
agree.
Killing it.
Yep.
But then Nico Williams is number 2 right behind him,
Nico
in my
Williams
opinion.
gets a little game time, gets the cross off to Firmino again, tap in range, gets his hat trick, 5-0. Liverpool with the dub, didn't even have to get it out of first gear.
No. Yeah, the only real interesting takeaway, and it's not even really that interesting, but I felt like they were really favoring the right side more than the left side. I know they kind of like to split it up with Alexander-Arnold and Robertson, but it felt like they're kind of leaning more on Trent Alexander-Arnold this game. Didn't you feel that way?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's just at this point, it's like you can just give it to Salah and like, okay, do something. Yeah. I think for me, the interesting thing is actually Liverpool's backup goalkeeper, this young Irishman.
He made one save.
He made
that I remember.
He made
the
a save,
Sarr
yeah.
one.
Yep.
It was an actual shot.
He also looked very comfortable on the ball. Looked like a guy who had a lot of experience, and they were talking about that he's very confident, even though he's quite young. He's played for the Irish, I think they're youth national teams.
It's actually just Karius.
He might have actually started for the
They
senior
rebranded
team.
him.
I'm not sure. But interesting, Shout out Ireland.
Is there any other takeaway from this game? I mean, there's not much we could learn from it. Watford, you just kind of take your beating and go on and move on. You're never going to win anyways.
Perhaps this is more of like Firmino going to be prioritized over Jota. Maybe.
I doubt it. I think that this is just kind of a one-off thing. I trust Jota more to score in their games going forward. I mean, do you trust Firmino?
I'd probably roll with him just because I feel like he's kind of the hot hand right now.
Okay.
But it's not like set in stone.
Well, no, of course not. And I mean, Jota scored a couple match days ago, so. But that was before the international break, so who knows what the form's like. But
It's been a long, long time. The tables turned around. Because
Bobby
Robert Firmino
Robert
is the one who's...
going down.
But he's not going down. He's
No.
the one who's scoring goals.
So then Jota's the one.
Jota's going down, yes.
Should we get to an actual game?
Shout out Sick Puppies. A lot of shout
we-
outs this episode.
Should we get an actual game in here now?
Yeah, possibly the game of the week, I would say.
Oh, there's two. There was
Okay.
two.
Yeah.
And I would give this one the slight edge just because we got a winner.
Yeah, true.
Starting off, Villa Wolves, looking at the lineups here. Emi Martinez in net, Konsa, Mings, Tonzebe back three with their regular Matty Cash, Matty Target out wide as well. Douglas Luiz and McGinn along with Buendia in midfield. Partnership of Watkins and Iggs up front. Wolverhampton, looking at Saw with Cody, Kilman, Saiz, Marcel, Neves, Semedo, Montinho, Chan, Dendonker getting in there, and Traore as well. So a little rotation out of Bruno Lage.
Yeah, I was interested to see Traore coming back into the lineup, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Lit a fire under him or something. I don't know.
Well, we'll see in this game. Your first notes about John McGinn. All I gotta say is this is the John McGinn show out here.
John McGinn. He's a number... I don't know what number he is off the top of my head.
I feel like he's
7?
6 or 8. Might be 7.
I feel like he's 7, and he shouldn't be 7 because he's a midfielder. But
Yeah.
whatever.
He was killing it all over the field, winning balls,
Yeah.
taking rips, good passes.
It was the
That's-
John McGinn show.
Yeah, he was really he was pretty much John McGinn plus Buendia all in one man.
Yeah.
This game.
Yeah, another one of our trademark Traore sightings where he does all the
run.
hard work and gets in the right space,
That was so great.
but shoots right at Martinez. It's like, this guy, like, is he doing this on purpose? Like, it's a bit or something to
We
him.
have a friend who's a little newer to the Premier League last couple of years, and he picked his team as Wolves.
Yes.
And he doesn't always get a chance to watch the games, but he was watching this one, and he was in our group chat. If this is interesting to anyone, but him watching this game, he's just like, "Who's this Traore guy? He can't score. He can't score. It's unbelievable that someone who's just new to sport will be watching. He's like, oh, he's good, and then you just see it, and you're like, oh, like go back and break that down. Like he could take another like whole dribble,
Yeah.
to get away. Instead, he just shoots, and it's right at Emi Martinez. Like I don't. He'll never get it if he hasn't got it at this point.
All flash, no substance.
But I thought in the first half for Villa, couple guys. I thought Ings could have taken that chance. I know a lot of people were saying that like it was a good save by Saw. I thought Ings should have scored on that one, and I thought Matty Cash looked pretty good going forward. For Villa, it felt like Villa, if anyone deserved to be up,
Yeah.
it was Villa in the
Yeah.
first half. They're kind of carrying most of the game,
Yeah.
but.
Goes into halftime 0-0, and we all know Wolves, second half team. And this is no different. But they were kind of like second half of the second half.
Second half.
Yeah.
That's where they're dangerous.
Villa,
Most dangerous.
not too surprising. Danny Ings gets the goal. Great work. John McGinn flying down the wing.
Is it a surprise? Great ball in.
Great ball in.
Ings runs right underneath it.
Yeah, perfect run by Ings. 1-0 up for Villa.
Well deserved at that point.
Yeah, it's looking good for Villa. And then, boom. Who other than John Mcginn?
Just a banger.
Absolute banger. Terrible back pass.
Oh, Chan. That was bad.
That's 0
That was
finger hearts out of 2 by Hwang Hee-chan.
That's
You know what I was wondering in this one? It's like, why is he coming that far back? Like
There's no Jimenez.
He's almost outside of their box.
There's no Jimenez.
Yeah, but that is way too far back.
Yeah, well, they need someone in that Jimenez role, and they were sitting him, so
With his back
it was terrible.
away from goal.
I don't want him in that role. I want Troy on the bench and Chan in the up front role, and then they have Jimenez coming back to get the ball. But down 2-0, you'd say well-deserved by Villa. They've held their own. Wolves haven't really got it going at this point. And I've noticed that with Wolves is a lot of time, if they just sit back and they're not aggressive, they're just not going to be in these games. I don't know why they don't come out and push it. They did it in the second half against Leicester. They did it against United the whole game. They did it against Tottenham. They do it in their best performances. There has to be something to where it sparks them to be a little more aggressive going forward.
I wonder if it has something to do with the fact that so many times when they've been the more attacking team that they just cannot score at all. And like maybe there's like this mental block like, oh man.
So they're like,
it's so hard to score.
It could be. I'm laughing because it's actually seems feasible.
Yeah, I mean,
what other explanation is it?
what can you say? I mean, the one game they looked great was last week when Jimenez was just
Dicing up Newcastle.
Dicing up Newcastle. But then again, it's Newcastle, and everyone
Yeah.
dices up Newcastle.
Yeah, Jimenez went in there. He's like, I'm going to start blasting. Starts pinging balls all over the field.
So anyways, I started blasting. My name's Danny DeVito Jimenez.
Going on, they pull one back.
Speaking
Saiz.
of blasting.
Yeah, this was a nice goal for Wolves.
Yeah,
well
very
worked.
nice. Great team goal.
Mm-hmm.
Neves to Podence to Saiz.
Dropping the ball on each other's heads, playing it across the front of the box, Saiz with a tap in far post.
Very nice, very nice. And you're thinking, oh,
There's
maybe,
hope.
maybe, but it still seems at this point, okay, Villa, you should win this game.
Yeah, Villa has shown they have a good defense, especially lately. They've been holding it down.
Yep.
But once you know, Wolves, they really started putting everyone forward, it felt like. Didn't it feel like they had like 7 guys in Villa's box?
They were freaking Connor Cody was up there. He's like, I'm getting in on this.
Scramble in the box, falls to Cody, who like fanned on it, but yet got enough on it to get it in.
Yeah.
2-2. And then
at this point, like
during the free kick, I figured Neves would score, but it wouldn't go in off a deflection. I thought he was just
I figured when they equalized, like
that they're just going to win
Wolves
in
are
general.
gonna win.
I see.
Like Villa looks so bad.
Yeah,
Like they're just
blowing a 2-goal
disappearing
lead
into
in
their
a
shell.
yeah, blowing a 2-goal lead in a span of like 5-10 minutes is rough.
Yeah.
Unlucky on the bounce. I was waiting for a Neves just rip. He has 1 or 2 of those a year where it's just a free kick and it's just a screamer.
Would have been hype. It was a little disappointing. It was just one of those awful deflections.
Off the wall, yeah.
Yeah. Wolves get the win.
The
3-2.
Midland Derby.
The Midland Derby.
What are your main takeaways? We'll start with Wolves here.
Wolves. Okay. Yes. They are getting better at
Scoring.
converting their chances.
Yes.
They don't need Traore.
Does it have anything to do with the fact Traore is out for most of it?
Yes.
Or not involved on him?
Please keep Hwang Hee-chan away from the defensive third, because that's just a terrible idea.
Yeah.
And then, just kind of roll with it. Keep up that good energy, pushing for goals.
Yeah, I would say that it's surprising not only that they get the win without Jimenez, and honestly, I thought their midfield kind of, even though they weren't bad, I think they kind of got outclassed by Villa.
Yeah.
Mcginn and Douglas Luiz were killing it out there.
Yeah.
I would say it's one of those where the performance might have not necessarily matched the result, but a win's a win, and you got to take it. Given the bad luck they had, I think they put every ounce of luck they had into this one game to get the comeback.
Yeah.
but good win for them. As far as Villa, you're playing so well defensively against big clubs.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have this, and you just crap all over yourselves for like 15 minutes and lose the game. That's very concerning.
Yeah, the way I see it is that this is kind of down to the formation that they like to play, the 3-5-2. And yes, it works when they're defending like against big teams because they can kind of sit back into like a back five with their wing backs and then also create chances on the break. But like we've talked about, it kind of takes away from the midfield. That's what you sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, they've had Mcginn and Luis kind of fill in that role, and it hasn't looked like, they've been missing a player in there. Those guys have been holding it down good in the midfield. But in this game, when you're up 2-0 and you have, kind of the midfield deficit, so to say.
Yeah, maybe a sub off one of those defenders, bring on another midfielder.
I would...
Or even sub off like Ings and Watkins.
One of Ings or Watkins. Probably Ings because I feel like
Watkins can at least
on the
press
break.
and stuff.
Yeah.
That too.
But yeah,
Ings presses, but
I was lost my thought.
you lost it. Something about the change of. You gonna say it?
Oh, I was gonna say that they were inviting pressure onto themselves unnecessarily by having that kind of midfield deficit, as opposed to you take off one of Ings or Watkins and you bring on another midfielder and you're able to better possess the ball and control the game, and that way you don't give Wolves any chance at attacking.
Yeah, and Dean Smith, I was not too huge on him when they brought him in. Well, I guess he was there in the championship, but coming up, I was like, I could see him getting sacked a couple years ago.
Yeah. He's
actually done very well. I don't know, bringing on Ramsey for Buendia, it's like, I don't know. Like you're saying, maybe take off one of the attackers. And they brought in Ashley Young for Matty Cash. It's like defender for defender. Yeah. I don't know. The like-for-like subs, like you're saying, I don't know. Maybe a little change next time. But good win for Wolves. Yep. Great game in general.
Absolutely.
This game, however, not such a good result if you are Manchester.
Ole's at the wheel.
Ole's at the wheel. I saw the clip of Rio doing write up the contract. You put it any number down and you have him sign it because Ole's at the wheel.
Ole's at the wheel.
All right, let's look at it. Leicester, we got Schmeichel, Soyuncu, Johnny Evans back. Northern Ireland's finest. Amarte, Tielemans, Pereira, Castagna, Sumore, Vardy, Madison, Iheanacho.
Wow, would you look at that?
United, De Gea, Lindelof, Maguire, Shaw, Bissaka, Pogba, Greenwood, Fernandes, Sancho, Matic, Ronaldo.
Getting into this one, Leicester, good start.
Mm-hmm.
Had all the ball, first 10 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Kind of
Buzzing.
Unexpected, but they were looking really nice. And then kind of against a run of play.
Well, I was just going to say they came down with that Greenwood shot at first, and
yes,
they gave that one up, and it's like, I don't know if you want to give him that much space. And the next time he comes down.
It's funny because we've been talking about like Greenwood taking too many shots maybe.
Yes.
That aren't good selections of shots. The reason why he does that is because like
stuff like this.
The goal that he scored to go 1-0 up was insane. Like an absolute screamer outside the box.
Far post.
That is why he takes all those shots.
Yeah, but you'd have to say like 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10 times like Schmeichel should save that.
The ball curling away from him.
He's got to have it. If we're Leicester, we got to have that. No, I mean, like you're saying, Leicester just came out dominated for the whole time, and then they just get punched in the mouth. It's very much Leicester season so far, encapsulated in a nutshell. And then, once you know it, Manchester United, their defense.
They do the thing where they give up the goals.
Maguire has done this multiple times this year. And we've talked about how Slabby kind of had his bad side go away for a little bit for parts of last year.
Yeah.
And now it's kind of rearing its ugly head again. It's like, what are you doing? It's just so slow on the ball. He has to know that someone's going to press.
Yeah, it was like lackadaisical. Like he just didn't care. Like
Yeah.
he thought he had all the time in the world. Like obviously, no, you're not going to have that much time.
Gets it taken off his foot immediately. Leicester work it. Tielemans with quite the shot.
Yeah, the cross shot. The shosh.
The shosh.
Put that on a t-shirt.
The shosh. It was like a chip cross, went upper 90. De Gea, it's one of those where it's like, if you knew it'd end up there, you probably could have saved it, but who would ever have expected that to happen?
Yeah, very strange.
So 1-1 going into half. And at this point, I would say, would you have said that Leicester deserved to be in the lead at this point? Because there was one chance, and I don't remember if it was after half or before half, but Sancho kind of cut in on the wing and fed Ronaldo in the middle, and he shot it, but it went right at Schmeichel, and I figured that Ronaldo was going to score that.
Yeah. I thought that Leicester did deserve to be in the, well...
You'd say it was
not
even?
Deserve to be in the lead, but it was fairly even, but I would give the edge to Leicester.
Mm-hmm.
I just felt like for Leicester's standards, the way they've been playing this season, I thought they looked pretty good.
Oh, they look great.
Yeah.
Compared to what they had been doing,
Yeah.
their defense actually didn't look like a
Mm-hmm.
complete joke. I thought, we'll get to this eventually just throughout, but I thought their midfield, the entire game of Tielemans and Soumare, were just working United's midfield.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where it really came down to for me.
Which, to be fair, isn't that big of a task.
No, but even then, like, Bruno didn't do a ton, I didn't think,
No.
in this game and stuff. They were doing a good job applying pressure defensively, and offensively, I thought they were doing fine, sparking runs and stuff. So,
But it's kind of funny, though, going back to the defense, when Johnny Evans is in the team,
there's a Johnny Evans
Soyuncu
effect.
is like so much better.
There has to be some effect.
Yeah.
His leadership.
Yeah, Leicester looked like, previous seasons where they've been really good.
Yes. Well, we'll learn that Soyuncu giveth and Soyuncu taketh.
That is true.
In the second half, United were picking it up a bit.
Yeah.
I thought. I thought they should have made a change a little sooner. When was it? The 65th? Rashford for Sancho? I thought it could have been before then.
Yeah.
Sancho's just looking stinky.
It's just not worth it having a guy like Sancho out there,
No.
when you're leaving the midfield more vulnerable by having him out there. Like, he's not providing anything, so there's no point in having him out there.
But even then, they bring on Rashford.
Yeah, which is
I don't like that move.
United, like, we talked about this, you got to have balance, especially if you're going to play 4 attacking players who don't press.
Mm-hmm.
What do you expect to happen?
Yeah. It's just silliness. But you want to talk about good subs?
Good subs, yes.
Maddison comes off. I thought Maddison looked like tolerable in this game. He didn't have anything special that happened, but he didn't at least look like a complete eyesore.
Yeah, he was more in the game.
Iosi Perez comes in.
Yes. Our guy.
Yes, Iosi Perez comes in, and he tears it up. Patson Daka also comes in, new signing for Iheanacho. Iheanacho got an assist. Would you look at that?
Yeah.
Would you look at that, Brendan Rodgers? We were calling for it. Late on into the second half, Soyuncu gets a tap in, kind of bounces around off a corner, falls for him. And then, immediately, United score, make it 2-2 because Soyuncu across the field plays on Rashford. It's a good pass by Lindelof. He's had a couple this year where he's able to.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolute
there's
ping.
acres of space to drop it, but still, I mean, you got to make the pass from.
Yeah,
where
it was. They scored the goal even before the end of the.
But you're gonna have to cue that up again because just seconds later, before they even finish the replay, Jamie Vardy from Who else? Iosi Perez.
Jamie Vardy's having a party. The King Palace is absolutely rocking, going mental.
King Power. Legendary stadium.
Legendary. Everyone's got their clappers, things.
Yes. Everyone's humming to the beat of the song.
Da, 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 da.
And then United kind of, I wouldn't say went out with a whimper, but they didn't really put it together for another chance. And you know what puts together another chance? Leicester. They go down. Daka far post tap in.
Yep. Massive dub.
United.
On both hands, massive dub for Leicester.
Had to be.
Massive L for United.
Who does this... I guess, let's say, what's more massive for each team? You got to pick one. Was it a bigger win for Leicester or a bigger loss for United?
I would say United, they're just seemingly going downhill. And the pressure cooker's heating up on Ole.
Yeah, I might have to give the edge to a bigger win for Leicester just because they absolutely needed that result.
I feel like...
What are they, like 12th or something?
We could see it coming, though. You always know that it's possible with Leicester.
Yeah, but I mean, now that they put it into action, and I mean, that's the main thing. United, it's like they're kind of have just been for a while, and I think this just really kind of encapsulates how their form has been lately.
Well, my opinion is that Leicester, I felt that they were going to come on stronger as the season progressed. I felt like it was just a matter of time before they kind of broke out in a way, once they start playing at Iheanacho. I mean,
once you get Iheanacho and Johnny Evans.
And Johnny Evans, yeah.
Yeah.
And then on the other hand, you could say, well, we've kind of been seeing this coming for United, that this play style that they want to have since Ronaldo came in, and they're going with this like 4 attackers.
Yeah, they're going 4-1.
And they're a team that already has a pretty weak midfield compared to like the other top teams.
Yeah.
Like Fred and Matic are going to hold it down. You sub on McTominay, but what do you expect?
Yeah. What do you expect?
And I forget which commentator said it, but he said there was a reason why all these great midfield players got a game at United.
Yeah.
It's because you need midfielders. You can't just have like a...
I agree.
Well, he was saying like maybe they weren't the most appreciated players.
Yeah.
But they played a crucial point.
Yes.
In the old squad, in the 92 season and whatnot. And it's just so unbalanced.
Yeah, they're gonna have to figure it out. I don't know what else to say because, like I'm saying, with the 4-1, they effectively play a 4-1-4-1 with Ronaldo up top, and then they have their attackers kind of spread out, and then they have a little space, and Matic is a little behind, and then they have their back 4. But it's just not. It's not feasible to play that way and expect to win when you have Nemanja Matic or Fred. That has to be right in front of the defense.
And attackers that don't get back on defense. I mean, this
and even
is
if they do, it's just
2021.
lazy. It's just lazy, like it's half-assed. It's not even...
Yeah. You can't get away with having one of those guys, let alone 4.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Moving on, other side of Manchester.
Probably the most boring game of the week, unsurprisingly. Manchester City versus Burnley. Starting lineups. Can we get a little the American Zach Steffen coming in for a Derson? Goal.
Stones, Ake, Laporte, Cancelo, Rodri, De Bruyne, Silva, Sterling, Mahrez, Foden. For Burnley, Pope, Lowton, Tarkowski, Nick Collins getting in there again, Eric Peters as well, Jack Cork, Josh Brown, Dwight McNeil, Ashley Westwood, and Chris Wood, along with Cornier.
Yeah, just pop in Eric Peters. He's played like 2 minutes this season. Pop him in against
Well, yeah, he's the secret
Man
weapon.
City.
He's the secret weapon.
Easy. So this one kind of goes as expected. Burnley trying to play on the counter, looking for Cornier up front, kind of switch up there from out wide.
Yeah, it was either try and get Cornier deep in behind or try and get Wood around the midfield line, and then you're able to just kind of have him hold up play, I guess is the idea. But I don't know. Whenever they did have the ball, the passing was just really, really bad this game. I don't know what the percent was, but it felt like they probably completed about 30% of their passes.
Yep, and then on the other hand, you have Man City who just play their pass, doing what they do best, which wasn't too surprising.
No, yeah, I mean, they're just, it's annoying because you watch City and you're like, well, they're just going to try and walk the ball into the net, and it's like, why? Why are you trying to do this? But then they just can against a team like Burnley. And Burnley was giving them space, I thought, especially central towards the edge of the box, top of the box, and that's what happens with the first goal.
Yeah.
It does kind of take a deflection off the save, and Silva's just there for a tap-in, but I just felt like Burnley kind of went back towards net a little too much, even in defense, a little too much. It's like you got to push up on them a little bit, but
felt like Burnley were resigned to their fate.
Well, some would say that. And one of those people is me. Yeah, I pulled up the pass accuracy. In general, they completed 71.7, but
that's pretty bad.
24% on long balls. That's
Yeah.
bad, especially when you're playing them all the time.
So after the goal, Cornier kind of shifts out wide to help track back. And then he gets a chance on the break.
Yeah, Burnley actually, towards the end of the first half, put together 2 or 3 chances that just went wide. They easily could have scored. But
Yeah, for sure.
I think that was the biggest surprise of the game. Otherwise, not a whole lot. Goes in 1-0 at half. City just going to break them down.
Yep.
Pass. I thought their second goal was kind of strange.
It was pretty strange.
I forget who was making the run. Was it Cancelo? Was making a run with it?
It might have been.
Regardless, it's like a block, and then it sat there. De Bruyne won it off someone, and he just rips a laser.
Yeah, it was kind of like everyone was waiting for them to call a penalty or something, and then De Bruyne just walks in and he's like,
I'm just
all
going
right,
to...
I'll rip a laser. No emotion about it. It's like, yeah, I did that.
What are your thoughts on De Bruyne this year? Do you think it's almost... I feel like it's almost they're kind of saving him in a way. They're not really requiring him to do a ton until it's a big game. And I mean, we saw that at Liverpool. He kind of was... It was just a matter of he wasn't playing very well, but it did feel like that's the game where they really needed him to do something. He eventually scored, but that first half against Liverpool didn't look that great. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, he
City's use?
Hasn't been kind of that high usage player that we are used to seeing him as.
Yeah.
It's a little interesting. I mean, he had the injury after the Euros, during the Euros, whatever, coming back from surgery.
Well, you had the face thing, too, with the Champions League final.
Yeah, that as well.
Pretty much had 2 injuries to come back from.
So, perhaps we're not seeing the best of Kevin De Bruyne yet this season, I would argue.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I think he's still one of the best 5 guys in the Premier League just off merit alone. He can always do it to you. I just thought it was weird because they're featuring a lot more of with Torres when he's in there, or Grealish on the ball and stuff.
I
especially
think
in the Premier League.
also Bernardo Silva, too. He's been looking really good.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a guy who was perhaps on the
leaving.
outs. Yeah. After Grealish coming in. You're thinking, we have an access, but...
Did you notice Raheem Sterling was in this game?
No.
I didn't either. No. I couldn't. I was like, oh, he's out there. Oh, okay.
So anyways...
2-0.
2-0.
Any takeaways?
Clean sheet for America.
Yes.
Hell yeah, brother.
What can you say?
Shotgun of beer. Coors Light.
City do what they had to do. As far as Burnley... I mean, they at least held their own somewhat in this game. It wasn't too brutal. Their defense wasn't god-awful, and they created some chances. They just didn't take them.
They were on a streak of losing 5-0 to Man City, so they broke the streak.
Yeah,
simple as.
that's all you can ask for sometimes.
Going in to another brilliant match.
Oh, my gosh.
Absolute banger alert. We got Norwich versus Brighton.
I think this was my most boring game of the week.
Yeah, it was pretty boring.
Kroll, Aarons, Gibson, Hanley, Kabak, Yanulis. My Greek, what can I say? I'll call him Demetrius.
Nikos.
Norman, Lees-Malou, McLean, Pookie, Sargent. I can't believe they just stick with the two up front. It's so bad.
Just
as far as
rolling with
Brighton, Bobby Sanchez, Lewis Dunk, Shane Duffy, Dan Burn, Cucurella, Pascal Gross, Adam Lallana, Jakob Motor getting rotated in there. Veltman, Maupay, Trossard.
You ever notice that Pascal Gross's picture, like, in the lineups before the games?
His head's tiny?
No, he looks like he's about to, like, murder you. Like, look at him. Look at those eyes.
He looks like a guy who could be, like, if, they love to do movies, and even though it's a newer movie, relatively, he looks like he could be cast in, like, Inglourious Bastards.
Yeah.
He's just like a stand-in, like, Nazi guy.
Whoa!
Well, he is German. This game kind of starts off, Norwich held their own a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was just more not impressed with Brighton in this game.
Yeah, they were looking pretty lackluster, not kind of the usual Brighton. I mean, they've had these moments in games where they look just kind of like meh.
Yeah.
Uncreative.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that. I'd say the last time I remember that being the case was mainly against Brentford at times, especially that first half. Mm-hmm. And for sure, the first one was the first half against Burnley.
Yeah.
And I mean, part of this is guys having to rotate, do different things with no Basuma in there. Mm-hmm. He's the main part of what they do. So they kind of have some guys maybe play a little more conservatively, unfortunately, because they don't want to get exposed because Basuma covers up a lot of their errors. But, it's Norwich. You got to just go for it. You got to get one, and then you can sit back, and you don't have to worry about it. But Norwich, I mean, going forward, they created some chances. I thought Lees-Malou had a decent game out of all the Norwich guys. Norman was okay, I guess, but...
Yeah.
Josh Sargent. Josh Sargent shot on goal. Shot on goal, 2 miles per hour shot on goal.
Yeah, Norwich, them looking good is pretty much just like them having the ball in the opposition's half.
And like completing passes.
Maybe you win a corner. That's like, wow, he won a corner. Good job, Norwich.
Yeah,
that's about all we can expect out of them.
Yeah, but still, they looked okay this game. Kroll had some saves for him as well. Their defense didn't look like completely useless this game.
Not bad.
But I feel like that's more Brighton just not being aggressive and taking chances, at least.
Notable moment in the game here. Maupay rounding the keeper, looking for the penalty. What are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, well, there's contact, and the question is it enough?
It is very minimal contact, but it was there.
It was there. I would say no, just because it looked like he was already kind of going down a little bit before that. But I wouldn't be screaming outrage either way if they said penalty or not penalty, but I would say no penalty.
I'd say no penalty, and I think I prefer it that way,
Well, in your world, just because it's Neil Maupay, you would have given him a yellow for diving.
Well, yes, but I think the game is better when you're not giving penalties for those kinds of moments.
Well, yeah, because it was just Kroll's foot, like he was standing it up to almost make like a kick save, kind of.
Yeah, something like that.
And it touched Maupay's foot barely.
Just barely grazed it.
So, no, I would say no. But my guy Trossard had a nice volley.
Right off the crossbar.
Yeah, Kroll with the slightest of tips to get it onto the crossbar.
Trossard caught that one so cleanly.
It was so good. The dip on it was magnifico. And your guy, Josh Sargent.
Moment of the game.
Slowly rolling towards the net.
A terrible play by Bobby Sanchez, who comes out, absolutely misses it, Josh Sargent, nothing but empty net in front of him. What does he do? He tries to pass it in, but it's so slow. The grass is too long. It wouldn't have even made it there. It's got to be one of the misses of the century.
It's like golf when guys just leave it a little short on the putt.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh man,
That's
because you
not
know
getting
that
there.
you know that they're feeling bad
Yeah.
that they didn't put enough on it.
Yeah.
Josh Sargent's just got to be kicking himself. So it goes in 0-0. It's a half. I'll let you break down the second half because there was nothing notable that happened.
Second
to me.
half, Josh Sargent threw on goal. Poor touch. Dan Burn with the long legs comes in. Sweeping tackle. Brilliant tackle by Dan Burn, but also equally terrible by Josh Sargent, who's getting in good spaces, but once he has the ball, it's just like turn off the TV because like things are getting bad here. Like close your eyes. This is like crime against the game. But yeah, Norwich kind of looking to play direct. The Brighton midfield not looking very good without Basuma.
No, it was rough.
When you're letting Norwich get the ball, things are kind of worrying at that point.
Yes. Oh, this was the one thing I want to talk about. How did Maupay not score?
I don't know.
What was that?
The
How did he
close
put
range
that high?
chance.
Brighton back to needing
It's got to
a
be
number
harder
9.
to miss.
Brighton
that
back to
point.
needing a number 9 right here.
True. So
Damn it, Maupay.
ends 0-0. Norwich on the consecutive 0-0 streak.
Is there any takeaway besides Brighton? We're wondering how they're going to look without Basuma. Is there anything else that you could take away from this? Because this is a little concerning. What would you put on a scale 1 to 10?
I would give it like a solid
6 or 7?
6.
Okay. That's where I was at, 6 or 7.
But I mean, we also probably would expect that Brighton would kind of revert back to more of their
Still.
their standard. They're not going to be a top 4 team.
Yeah.
They're going to be more mid-table.
Yeah.
And there's going to be results like when you draw to Norwich 0-0. It happens. But yeah, it really depends on the midfield situation. It seems like Basuma is out for the foreseeable future.
Yeah. Say it least.
So maybe they get a new addition in January. I don't know.
Maybe. Speaking of out, we got Southampton's Leeds. And Leeds were missing a few guys. A few big guys.
Yeah.
Again.
Not for the first time this season.
I think it was like 6 guys, but it was like it was Rafinha, Bamford, Firpo, just like pretty much 6 of their like 8 most important guys. I think Phillips was out as well.
No
It's
Phillips.
just terrible.
Yep.
Southampton, we got McCarthy, Perot, Livermento, Salisu, Bednarak. So another rotation at the back line for Southampton. What's new? Romeu, Gineppo, El Nuesi, Diallo, Nate Redmond, Broja. And then we got Melier, Cooper, Llorente, Struijk, Roberts, Dallas, Click, Shackleton, another start, Rodrigo, Dan James, Jack Harrison.
I just get a kick out of this Southampton carousel of starting lineup that they're just always switching it up.
It's honestly the best thing they have going for them because it's hilarious.
That's true. I was just happy to see Broja get the start. He's looked good. Also interesting to see Perot coming in there as well, like the back four. Just
He loves to do it. He loves to.
gotta
Austin
keep
Hula
everyone
loves
on
it.
their toes.
I would say this game, Leeds showed me 0. This might have been one of Leeds' worst games I've ever seen.
Yeah,
They
it
had
was up there.
nothing. They had nothing going attack. They had 1 shot in the first half. It came in the 45th minute.
Yeah, they were absolutely just getting dominated by Southampton.
That's tragic.
Like that felt bad just coming out of my mouth right there. That's like F in the chat for my boys Leeds.
Southampton in attack didn't look great in the first half. They had a couple okay shots. I thought that their play, like their link-up play, was actually pretty decent for Southampton standards. It was more the shooting and finishing just wasn't really there. They didn't have great looks. Melier made 1 or 2 saves, but
It just kind of looked like their standard Southampton when they have a good start and they have the ball, but they do nothing with it pretty much.
Yeah. It might have been a little more sad than that.
It was pretty sad.
But, you know, what are you going to do when you get that? Nate Redmond, this game, might have been one of his best games in a while.
He was feeling it.
Yeah.
He heard the criticism from the
Premiership
Perusal podcast, and he's like,
all right.
gotta set it straight.
I know the other team has nothing going in attack, but I have to do something this game.
Now is my game.
Coming out, well, honestly, before we get to halftime, it literally felt like Leeds didn't do anything with the ball even until like the 42nd minute.
They were putting in a Watford versus Liverpool kind of performance.
But it wasn't even that. It was more like Watford versus like maybe Brighton, that game. That like second game of the year.
Yeah.
It was more like that. And it's like, oh my God, what
Yeah,
what is
it
this?
It was bad. It was very bad.
Yeah, 0-0 at half. But then they come out of the half. Leeds holding some possession. They get it taken off them. And then Gineppo with a great ball up. Perfect weighted ball up to Nathan Redmond. Nathan Redmond, great little run. Drags the defenders towards him. Over to Broja on the counter. Couldn't miss. Sam's guy, the Armenian, he couldn't miss.
You know what was funny about this? This actually came off of Leeds' best spell.
Yeah. What else? What else is new for Leeds?
Oh, Leeds.
Their defense is just terrible this year in general.
Mm-hmm.
Letting stuff like this happen to you, it's just bad.
Yeah. You really see kind of how exposed they get without having Calvin Phillips in the midfield doing a lot of work.
To say the least. Stuart Armstrong came on.
Yeah, Stuart Armstrong. And now I realize I love Southampton. They got Broja. They got Stu Armstrong. I love it. I love it.
We can come together for a Southampton, this being our joint club. I love me some El Noesi.
But, I love me some.
I love me Livermento. He was killing it. He was killing it out there. Going forward and even in defense, he actually looked pretty solid this game. Not saying much because he didn't have to do a ton. But, yeah, I mean, there was nothing for me in the second half other than the goal.
Yeah, not much. I mean, Dan James had a chance. Hit it just wide. Simple as. Leeds, the very few chances that they had, they weren't able to do anything with it.
Southampton must have felt so nice knowing that their worst result that could have came from this was a draw.
True.
And they at least took one chance.
Mm-hmm.
Get the clean sheet. 1-0. Any takeaways for Southampton from this? Do you think just getting a win might be enough to maybe get a little good vibes? Get a little good vibes for them, maybe feeling good. Or you think it's just Leeds were so bad that they had no choice but to win?
I'd like to see Southampton maybe figure out a starting lineup that they can roll with for maybe more than a week.
That's the joy of Southampton. They're not allowed to do that.
Ralph Hasenhüttl's wild ride.
They're just so deep,
When I think of Southampton, I think of depth.
They have to rotate everyone in, otherwise their superstars are going to get mad.
True.
As far as Leeds go, we might not be at rock bottom, but we're damn close. They
just have so many injuries. Like, what can you say?
Yeah.
What can you do at this point?
Rely on Jamie Shackleton.
You just got to hope
sub on more youth players.
Those guys come in and can turn it around quick because they're going to need a lot of points in a short amount of time when those guys come back.
One last note on this game before we go to the next one. I can't believe when I looked and saw the stats, they have Southampton down for 19 shots. It did not feel like they shot that many times. It felt like maybe 10.
Are those on target?
No, it's shots in general. Still, it genuinely just felt like they had like maybe 10 shots.
I feel like they're pretty liberal with those stats. Like,
and any cross is also counted as a shot. Moving on.
This is your game of the week, I take it?
No.
I thought you said...
No, Wolves Villa was the game of the week for me. The second game, I'll just tell you right now, it was Arsenal Palace.
Oh, okay.
No, this was not up there.
Okay.
Brentford, Chelsea, Raya, Pinnock, Janssen, Zanka,
Zach.
Onyeka, Henry, Norgard, Canos, Jensen, Ivan Toney, and Buemo. A little rotation out of Brentford today.
Yeah,
Little
more,
rotation,
more
one or two.
forced rotation. No Baptiste,
Yeah,
no Ayer. So
just love to see Zonka out there.
Zach.
And then for Chelsea, Mendy, Malang Sarr getting his first start. Signed him the free a couple years ago. Christensen, Chalobah, so complete, back three of not their normal picks, but Conte, Kovacic, Loftus-Cheek, Chilwell, Dave, Lukaku, and Werner up front.
At this point, Tommy Tuchel's just having a laugh. Like, he's throwing these lineups out there like
Yeah.
Loftus-Cheek, yeah.
Yes.
Malang Sarr, yeah.
Yes. Yes, we can throw out fraud Lukaku and fraud Timo Werner.
Whoa, Timo Werner. I rate him. He's got bags of goals in him. I've seen it. The referees are absolutely screwing him.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Tell me what.
Brentford were screwing Chelsea this game, man. They were killing them.
Wow.
Possession, favoring Brentford for a good chunk of the first half. They
Yeah.
just created a bunch of chances with that possession too.
It looked fantastic. 21st minute. Great chance for Brentford. And Bumo hits the post just after Chelsea go down to the other end. Lukaku thinks he scored.
He's off.
He's offside.
What are you gonna do?
He's
That's
kind of
Chelsea.
transition. He's spending too much time with Timo Werner. Now he's
Yeah.
offside all the time.
Yes, he's the bald Werner, they call him in the locker.
Yeah, and against the run of play, Ben Chilwell, Golden Boot winning Ben Chilwell with the absolute banger on the volley.
He didn't do that great defensively this game, or passing specifically. He did not pass that well, but you make up for it when you just hit one of these rockets.
Just score bangers. That's all. Simple as.
What are you gonna do?
Simple as.
1-0 at half for Chelsea. Kind of feel a little hard done, Brentford that is, and they're gonna feel really hard done as we get to the
Yes.
second half.
Yeah.
You have a note about not getting Ivan Toney into the game. He doesn't really have a chance to late on, and he kind of makes as much as he can out of it. Just a quick turn, fires that Mendy, good save. But
Yeah, that's kind of been the area that they've struggled in at times when Brentford isn't looking that good. A lot of times it's because Tony isn't able to get on the ball and kind of work with Mbumo, create some magic up front. He's just such a great passer.
yeah, no, I thought that Brentford, they kind of stuck a little more to the right side, but they were able to go through the middle considerably against Chelsea, which I thought was a little surprising, especially since, Chelsea have a pretty good midfield, but Brentford, as we know, we rate their midfield.
But with Ruben Loftus-Cheek in the midfield, is it still good midfield?
Well, he's out there giving 110%, and that's all Thomas Tuchel asks of. I still don't know what he does. I don't think he does anything. He might be like the English Danny Ceballos.
Yeah, I mean, he's decent passing. I mean,
He doesn't have anything that stands out. He's just kind of
No.
average or slightly above average at everything.
I also like him playing farther back when you're playing against lesser teams because he's a decent passer. If you put him too far forward, like he's not that good up front, in like a number 10 role.
Yeah. No, because he's not as good of a playmaker as...
He's kind of better as like a facilitator. But then when the tides turn and
Again, you
you're
don't
having
really
pressure
know
on
what
you,
he is because he's not an 8, he's not a
Yeah.
6, he's not a 10. It's like, what is he? And you're like, he's English Danny Ceballos.
he passes.
Yeah, and then Mbuemo, another post hit.
Hit the post. Unlucky. Feels bad, man. Hitting the post twice against Chelsea,
Good guys.
nonetheless.
Good guys, Brentford. Getting hard done. Goes to show you that only the bad succeed in the world.
Now this one, the penalty shout, Chalobah potential foul on Ivan Toney.
But it's called offside.
Called offside, but they didn't review it, and
It was
he actually was onside.
I thought this was such a strange situation, given that they blew it offside. But then it's like, how can you tell what came first, if he blew it or if the foul occurred? But then he wasn't even offside in general.
Yeah, it's like,
It's
why are we raising the flag at that moment? Like, I thought we had it established. You only do that if it's clearly offside, which it wasn't.
Not when you have to call against the best team in the world, Brentford.
Let me tell you, Chelsea Mafia out here.
Of course. What else is new? Like I said, bad guys Chelsea, good guys Brentford.
Yeah, and then it just kind of starts the Mendy show.
Oh my
which is
gosh.
absolutely disgusting. Just the guy was all over the place. It's
He had
like there's two
extendo
Mendys in
arms.
the net. Huge save on Norgard. Shot cleared off the line.
Everything was just,
Saved it with his face.
Yeah. I mean, all you really have to see is that bike attempt at the end.
Yeah.
And that was
Oh
goal of the year.
man, that would have
And-
been. It
and
was
Mendy-
so clean.
Mendy, just insane. I think he had another stop on like Jansen too early on, which was a good save.
Dude, that bike, the reaction time on that was like instantaneous. Like, how can
He had to
how can he
guess.
process that
He-
that's happening and move his arm?
He had to guess.
Blew my mind. Absolutely blew it.
1-0 Chelsea.
That's a tough one for Brentford not to get anything out of that game. Arguably could have won the game.
Yeah. Couldn't do it. As for Chelsea, you feel a little lucky on this one, to say the least.
Yeah.
You think that maybe a little less rotation out of the squad as guys like Pulisic and stuff start to get a little healthier? Maybe you get Mount involved a little more. Or you think until they like lose or drop points, Tuchel's just going to be like, here's Ruben Loftus-Cheek.
It's funny, though, because I messaged you before the game. I saw the lineup. I was like, this lineup from Chelsea, like, they're just asking to get beaten by Brentford. Like, we've seen Brentford. They beat Arsenal, drew with Liverpool. Like, it's a tough place
West
to go.
Ham. They beat, and that's not even at home, but
Yeah.
just in general, Brentford's a
If you,
scary
you
team to play.
disrespect the Brentford, you might pay for the price.
Thomas Frank was in absolute disbelief.
Yeah.
And it was hilarious to see. He's just like, like flailing his arms up and down, mouth agape. I don't think there's a huge takeaway for Brentford other than, I mean, we know that they're really good.
Yeah.
And it's just unlucky they didn't get the result. Chelsea, I got my eye on them. They have something coming up here that I don't like. They're going to drop a stinker soon enough. I can feel it.
It's bound to happen when you're rolling out lineups like that. Like, it's just got to happen.
Moving on. Everton, West Ham, the David Moyes derby.
David Moyes derby. We've been waiting for the day.
I've been waiting for Everton.
Starting lineups for Everton. Jordan Pickford looking very staunch in that picture.
Those kits bother me, those
It's
keeper
bad.
kits.
It's very bad.
It's like Michigan football, but like
kinda.
like their helmet, but it's terrible.
Michael Keane, Luca Digne, Ben Godfrey, Seamus Coleman, midfield, Alan, Doucouré, Townsend, and Iwobi. Forwards, Damari Gray, and Solomon Rondon, the man who does nothing.
There's a few men who do nothing in this game.
That is true. West Ham, we got Fabianski in net.
Do we have to? Oh, we do, because Ben Johnson played. I was gonna say, do
Ben
we have to?
Johnson.
Because they normally have their lineup.
Cresswell, Kurt Zuma, Ogbonna, Ben Johnson coming in. Fornals, Bowen, Ben Rama, Suchek, Declan Rice, and Antonio.
Yeah, no shoe fall for West Ham today,
Yeah.
but it's everything else is the same form. You know what they're gonna come at you with. Out of the gates, West Ham were just killing it.
Yeah, they were.
They were absolutely
This is
just
kind of the week of like
peppering
teams
it.
just dominating the other team.
yeah. It wasn't until I would say like the 20th minute. What would you say that Everton actually got into it?
Yeah,
I'd say like
yeah.
25th to 30th.
Yeah, and the thing about West Ham too is they had the ball a lot, but they were doing absolutely nothing with it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of
Any
been their
chance they
thing that
had,
they've
it was
struggled
just
with.
going over and stuff. It was never really even close. I wouldn't even
Yeah.
call them like half chances because the chance that they would take is just so bad. It's like,
Yeah.
what was that?
That's been something that they've struggled with at times when they look the better side and are in control of the game, but don't take advantage of those opportunities or lack thereof.
Yeah, and then, I don't know, as it was going on, Everton was kind of getting in the thick of things, especially out wide. I felt like they were able to get a lot of good crosses in this game. At least dangerous crosses. They didn't take advantage of any of them, obviously, but they had guys in the box and stuff. Do we want to talk about your favorite player?
The huge moment of the match for Everton. I forget who played the ball in. Do you remember who it was?
I want to say Townsend, but I think that's just because Townsend had a great game.
It might have been Townsend. Let's say Townsend rolls the ball across the 6-yard box to a wide open Iwobi, who absolutely whiffs.
I don't think whiffs describes what we had to witness.
It's like you put the...
Yeah, the Benny Hill. It was so bad. It was so bad that it went right through the wickets.
And that was
I felt bad for him.
That was just kind of the cap off Iwobi's performance so far in the game. He looked awful. Like, awful.
Did you screenshot that snap I sent you about stat line?
It was awful.
It was just zeros across the board about anything, and it was like one chance missed or something like that. One big chance missed. It's like, yeah, there was one big chance missed. All right.
And the commentators are like, yep, Everton really are going to need to sub off Iwobi. But then you look at Everton's bench, and they have, like, no one on their bench.
No, I mean, when you have to start Solomon Rondon, it's already bad enough.
Yeah.
I'm going to actually pull up their bench real quick to see who they had. Harry Tyrer, John Joe Kenny, Begovic, Lewis Dobin, the guy from Mainz a couple years ago, Jean Gabamin or whatever.
Yeah.
Tom Davies, Yuri Mina, Anthony Gordon, Mason Holgate. So I'm not sure who you're bringing on. That's any good.
I know they brought on that Dobbin. Is it a Dobbin or
I think
Dobbins?
it's Dobbin. Anthony Gordon
Lewis
came
Dobbin.
on.
Yeah, honestly, I'd play Dobbin or Gordon. I mean, they're not that great, but
it doesn't
they
matter.
have an upside. I don't think Iwobi has an upside. Arsenal sold Everton on the upside that wasn't there.
There was no upside. Yeah, and even like the Soucek goal, that wasn't because he was offside. That gave you a glimmer of hope that this game might have something interesting. It was honestly a much more boring game than you would have thought. I mean, you kind of expect that because Everton sits back, but I don't know. Even when Everton, they went forward a good amount this game at times, but they couldn't get anything going. And West Ham, other than Declan Rice, I wasn't very impressed by them this game.
I mean, Ben Rama had some moments, but then ultimately it was just, he was kind of wasteful.
Yeah, that's how I felt about West Ham early on. It's just they had chances, but then the shooting was just so bad that it didn't matter. 0-0 at half. It's a lot of back and forth in the second half. Not a whole lot going on. Everton kind of were complaining that it wasn't supposed to be out for a corner. Instead, it ends up being a corner.
Yeah.
And it costs Everton dearly with the Ogbonna header.
Yeah, Pickford was complaining of a foul. I don't think there was a foul, but I do think it should have been a goal kick because I think it went off of Antonio last.
Yeah.
So, anyways.
Was that the Godfrey,
pass back kind of, yeah.
What was that? He hit it straight up in the air?
Yeah,
and then
I don't know what that was.
Antonio must won the header over Pickford.
Yeah. So
it was bad.
West Ham get the corner. Ogbonna, just a really nicely headed goal.
Yeah, far post.
Yeah.
Perfect header. No way Pickford could do anything about that.
And at that point, West Ham were kind of like, yeah, well, we're fine with 1-0. They weren't really pushing too hard to get a second goal.
Yeah, with how West Ham's defenses look this year at times, a little shaky. You know, you think of against Brentford, they blew that in the 90th minute, and even other times. I didn't have the utmost faith in them, but
they brought on Craig Dawson.
Yeah,
solidify that.
And we've seen Everton come back this year too. So I wasn't feeling great about West Ham, but ends 1-0, and I think that's my main takeaway. I feel a little better about West Ham's defense. Everton, all I learned, and I learned this from the moment that I gave Solomon Rondon 1 minute of a chance against Villa, they need Calvert-Lewin,
Yeah.
and they need him bad.
Yeah, I saw he actually suffered a setback, so he's going to be out for a while. Also, Doucouré is hurt, apparently.
Yeah.
So, Everton, it's going to be a rough go.
All around
Next man up.
are familiar faces.
Into the next game, Newcastle versus Tottenham. This has got to be one of the stranger games that I've seen.
Did you watch it live? I didn't watch this
I
one
did
live.
watch it live. Very
It had to be,
strange game.
yeah, I was going to say it had to be even weirder live.
Very strange game. So let's get into the lineups. Newcastle, Carl Darlow, Kieran Clark, Lascelles, Matt Ritchie, Manquillo, Joe Ellington,
The revival of Manquillo.
St. Maximin, Isaac Hayden, Joe Willock, Sean Longstaff, Callum Wilson, back from injury. You love to see.
He's back.
On the Tottenham side, you have Hugo Lloris, Reguilon, Romero, Emerson Royale, and Eric Dyer in the back. You have the midfield of Højbjerg, Son, Mora, Ndombele, Skip, and of course none other than Harry Kane leading the line for Tottenham.
Well, this one starts off fast. And Newcastle will do this too. They did against West Ham, first game of the year. They just, there's that first 10 minutes of soccer just in general in a game where it's a bit of randomness until it kind of settles down.
Mm-hmm.
And Newcastle like to always try and push that, especially, and kind of create some chaos.
Yeah.
And they do here. Manquillo with the cross out wide. Kind of a weird, is kind of like, I don't know, Wilson had to like kind of duck down for it. Kind of get a little dip header on that.
Yeah, Newcastle off to a great start there. But then, Tottenham, after a good spell of possession, Reguilon picks out Ndombele, who just scores like an insane goal.
Yeah, it was kind of strange because the build-up play was so well worked from Tottenham after we have seen them struggle this year with that aspect. Or maybe not even struggle is the right word, but not really utilize it as much as they should, or you'd think from a big club. But yeah, great shot by Ndombele, curls it, far post.
It seemed like in this game he was actually like trying. I don't know if you felt that way.
I think they kept him away from Dele Alli for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And he's been playing better now.
Mm-hmm.
They kept him away, and he's like, oh, no, I care. Same with Harry Kane.
Yeah.
Who scores the second. This just adds to the weirdness of this game. He didn't think he was on, but he took it, and that's why the announcer said it too, but it's like there had to be some sense of like he's like, whatever. I don't care. I'm just gonna shoot this. He scores. He's like, I'm offside.
Yeah.
And then they check it. And he's on. He's
like,
on
okay.
for the first.
I guess we're up 2-1.
Well, I guess we're up 2-1, guys. Let's go on and win this game.
Things are
Hurricane.
going pretty well for Tottenham. And then Lucas Moura hits the crossbar.
Yeah, it was pretty much all Tottenham from like minute 5 to like minute 85.
Mm-hmm.
Son comes in later after the stoppage.
Yeah, huge.
Gets the third right before half. Kane with an assist. What else?
Yeah, huge delay. A fan in the crowd had a heart attack. They had to kind of signal to the players. Reguilon got the game stopped, and then Dyer ran over, got a medic with the defibrillator to run on over. So the game was stopped for quite some time. Then they came back, played like 10 minutes, and then went to halftime.
Mm-hmm.
So just a really weird goal.
I think there's, 7 added minutes, 8 added minutes, something along those lines.
It was kind of a flashback to the Euros with Eriksen.
Oh, yeah.
Just kind of that strangeness of like, what the heck is going on?
Something outside the game, pausing the game, and then they go right back to it. It's weird. So 3-1 at half. Newcastle bringing on your guy.
John Joe.
Chauvet. 4-4-2. They just throw Maximin and Wilson kind of up front.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, they kind of just got to go for it.
I'm just glad Bruce made it to his 1,000th game. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say, you have a note about Tottenham in control. I would say that this was one of, if not their most, like, in control of a game that they've looked to where you felt comfortable that they weren't going to concede. Their defense at times this year has been all right, and it's been no bueno other times. I kind of like Romero. I think he's decent. He definitely provides an upgrade, at least over what they had been rolling with, to say the least. But yeah, I think
It's Tottenham.
yeah, it's more. I was gonna say it's Newcastle.
It's Newcastle.
Yeah, so
Yeah, and then I just had this note in here. The best moment of the game. The camera pans to various fans around the stands wearing their Middle Eastern garb in celebration of the new owners.
they had their kaifa on, or whatever you call those. They look good.
Absolutely comical. You have
They
these
look good, lads.
these Englishmen
status.
wearing their Middle Eastern garb just adds to like the strangeness of this game. Like at one point I was thinking like, is this real? How have we come to this point where we have these Newcastle fans and people are having heart attacks, and then they had to release a statement saying like,
You
please
can't.
don't do that.
Yeah,
Like, we're asking you, please don't. Like, they thought it was funny, but please don't. But they're not going to stop.
They're not going to. And I'll tell you what. You know what else isn't going to stop? John Joe Shelby with the yellow, and then the second yellow.
Just another thing. He gets subbed on. 20 minutes later, he gets his second yellow card. He's off.
How about another one for you? Eric Dyer off the set piece, the own goal that no one on Newcastle was even close
Yeah,
to.
no. Absolutely no need to do that. Ends 3-2. Tottenham get the win.
I missed last year when there were no fans in the stands, and Newcastle stole one from Tottenham, and Mourinho just walked down the tunnel really fast.
Yeah.
Didn't even wait to shake Bruce's hand or anything. That was funny.
That was when Steve Bruce was on top of the world. Unfortunately, now he is not. He is gone forever in our hearts. Made it to number 1,000. Like you said, absolute legend of the Premier League. It's a shame people had to be so rude.
Yeah, they can't
Call him-
understand.
Call him fat cabbage head or whatever. I mean, that's kind of
What
fun.
was
I'm not
that
going to
from?
lie.
Who said that? Newcastle.
There
fan?
were fans that were saying that, and he mentioned it in a statement. But
That's messed up.
I mean, I always felt bad for Steve Bruce. Like, it seemed like he was a pretty genuine guy, and he was open to the fact that like the stick that the fans were giving him was affecting even his family, and they were having to read that stuff online and whatnot. But just Steve Bruce.
Respect the hustle, respect the grind.
He
That's
came
all I'll
in
say.
with a tough job. Newcastle is a tough job.
That's
They
what I'm
stayed in
saying.
Newcastle, especially before the new owners. It's like,
He kept him up. They don't spend any money for
yeah,
him.
they don't spend
It's not the
money.
best brand of football in terms of visually appealing at all times. But I'll tell you what, like I said, respect the hustle, respect the grind. He kept them up. He got them. Where'd they finish last year? Like, didn't they finish like 13th or something like that?
Yeah, something around there.
That's so much better than a lot of managers would be able to do.
Right.
That's why I say respect to Steve Bruce.
And you got people complaining like, "Oh, it's so boring, so uninspiring." But it's like, no.
Tony Pulis, West Brom is boring.
Yes.
It can always be worse.
Steve Bruce is utilizing the players that he has. Like, his team is built to counterattack.
Yep.
And they did it pretty well at times.
Yeah.
And I mean, I thought they looked exciting at times. It wasn't all dire,
No.
sit back and defend. It was
No.
just Newcastle fans have very high expectations, which I think it's still going to be a rough go, even with the new owners. You have a
Yeah.
long way to turn this ship around.
Yep. Man City wasn't great right away either.
So I'm kind of rooting for Newcastle to get relegated at this point because they think it's just going to be all wonderful. And the new owner lady, she scares me with her plastic
She looks so
surgery face.
strange.
Yeah, she used to look normal.
She looks like a ghoul.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on. to, I would say, my 1B game of the week.
Mm-hmm.
Arsenal, Crystal Palace, little London derby action, if you'd like. As far as the starting lineups, Ramsdale, Tierney, White, Gabriel, Tomiyasu, Thomas, Saka, Odegaard, ESR, Pepe, Aubameyang. As far as Palace, we're looking at Guaita, Ward, Mitchell, Guehi, Anderson, Milivojevic, Ayew, MacArthur, Edouard, Gallagher, Benteke.
Interesting thing about Arsenal lineup, they're rolling with kind of a 4-1-4-1, hoping that Thomas Partey can keep all the weight upon his shoulders.
Well,
When I saw this lineup, I was like, this is not the game to do the one holding midfielder.
is it because I was going to say West Ham for some reason. Palace can actually do stuff going forward and have a good midfield? Is that why?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Game starts off, Arsenal kind of taking it to Palace a little bit.
In the Arsenal fans' heads, it's like, yeah, this is looking great. Very positive start.
Which Arsenal tend to do. They tend to start off pretty strong in that first 10 minutes a lot of times.
You get the fantastic goal, 1-0 by Aubameyang at the back post. Quality finish, and all the fans.
It was a great shot by Pepe, because it was almost like a curled shot. It was what'd you call the Tielemans one?
The Shosh.
The Shosh? Yeah,
Yes.
It was kind of like that.
Put that on a t-shirt. And in the minds of Arsenal fans, they're all thinking, dun, 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 dun,
No, yeah, but you're not going to run Palace like that. I would say, just in general, Arsenal looks so sloppy in their build-up play. And then anytime they held possession,
bad.
it was going nowhere. Eventually, they were just begging to have the ball taken away from them.
That was kind of the same old Arsenal that we've been used to seeing.
Yeah. So it goes in 1-0 at half. Second half, they come out. And the same exact thing of their build-up play. Palace wasn't really doing a ton in attack. They had some shots. Benteke had a few, but they weren't really that threatening. Ramsdale still has to make the save, but
teams know that they don't have to do anything against Arsenal because Arsenal will break themselves down.
And that's exactly what happened on the first goal. I forget. I keep wanting to say Gabriel, but it wasn't.
It was Partey.
Partey? Okay. Yeah. Partey with the pass. Just got it to him. Turns, doesn't really know where to go. Gets it taken off him. And once you know it, it's...
Edouard.
Wasn't Benteke the first goal?
Thought Benteke was the second goal.
Don't do this to me.
Yeah, Edouard.
It was Benteke.
It was Benteke. I told you the whole time.
They made the run.
I told you it was Benteke.
Get out of here. Did you watch the games? But Benteke with the shot. Your guy, Ayew, with a nice little layoff to him.
Oh, God, no.
And he splits.
Oh, my God.
He splits the defense. I would say it was less on White having to get there because he had to cover that whole wide side to get back over. It was more Gabriel. Couldn't really close out in time.
It was a nice move by Benteke.
And
Yeah.
then as we go on, it's another turnover. This time a little further up the pitch. Lokonga getting subbed on.
Yeah.
Gallagher takes it. Gallagher makes a nice run. Plays
Potential
it forward to
foul in the
Elise.
build-up.
What's that?
Potential foul in the build-up.
Nope. Elise over to Edouard. And then Ben White, just a little too passive for my liking, dropping back. It's almost like he didn't know exactly where he was relative to the box because he let Edouard get right to the edge. And at that point,
And then he
That's
turned his
plenty enough.
body sideways.
yeah.
like-
You almost wonder if it maybe blocked Ramsdale a little bit from seeing it, and then the
Yeah,
shot just
could've been.
right over his head. I thought you were going to talk about the shout earlier. Who was that? Was that Saka who got clipped by MacArthur?
Clipped. That's a very interesting word to say. One would just say
A
absolutely
kick right to the back of the leg.
absolutely just ball nowhere
I shouldn't have brought
near.
it up.
The ball was nowhere near. Nowhere near. MacArthur just with an absolute you're gonna punt a 60-yarder kick. just right on his calf.
It reminded
Nothing.
me of in a game like FIFA, like slide tackling after the play's over and you like never get a yellow or anything, or like
Yeah.
NHL, like cross checking a dude like after the play's over, trying to like start a fight, and there's not going to be a penalty or anything. But
Not even a
that
yellow
wasn't
card.
that. Yeah, that was insane.
Mike Dean plays the advantage. Then afterwards, everyone's thinking like, okay, yellow card, right? And then Mike Dean's like, no. No, just not a good game from Mike Dean's
Your guy
perspective.
though, Mike Dean.
You know,
All your guys were in here. Ayew,
I'm
Mike
not saying
Dean,
Arsenal deserved to win, but Mike Dean was
not helping.
Not helping.
But Arsenal pile it on late.
Yeah, they were just throwing the kitchen sink at it pretty much.
Lacazette had another shot early on that Guaita made a good save. Vintage Guaita, some might say. Vintage 2020 Guaita.
Yeah, when Lacazette came on, he was kind of an instant impact.
Him and... I'm blanking on his name. What's his name? Sam. What's the guy? Martinelli.
Martinelli,
He
yep.
played good too.
Yep.
Other than that, honestly, this hurts to say. My boy Marty, bad game. Emil Smith Rowe, bad game.
It's tough when they try and have them, like, Odegaard kind of farther back.
Even when they're both off, that's very strange. Their whole midfield didn't really play that well to me. Yeah. I think the way you can tell about why Arsenal are struggling, their first goal, they didn't score directly off the corner, but it was a corner taken, and then it got bounced out to Pepe, a little link-up play between Tomiyasu and Pepe, and then that cross shot that ends up being scored. Shoss. The Shoss.
Put a S set on that.
Yeah. And then the next one, it was also off a corner. It was kind of bouncing around and stuff, and Lacazette gets it and scores it. So it is a cause for concern for me as an outsider to Arsenal when I watch them. You can't generate a goal from just direct open play, possession from open play. That's a problem.
Yeah, you see Arsenal, and they bring up the ball. They have it in midfield or with the center backs, and then they get some resistance, and it's like, oh, what do we do now? And then they're like, okay, horizontal pass. Horizontal pass. Back pass even. Whoa. Then we'll kind of recycle it. Oh, more horizontal passes.
It's okay.
And just absolutely afraid to lose the ball. And then you just like try and hoof it to Pepe or something, and then you lose the ball. So you could have just done that earlier.
Yeah, and save time. They still didn't have the most back passes and side passes. That award this week goes to Leeds. I saw a map, going back to Leeds for a second. I saw a map of like their passing. They legit had one or two passes that went forward in the first half that were completed.
Yeah.
But enough about me ranting on Leeds. Lacazette, equalizer, massive for Arsenal,
Yeah.
sad for Palace.
Huge to get that point after a dismal second half display.
What is this? What's your takeaway from Palace perspective? I think that, the result you would say going into 2, you take that.
Yeah.
Being up 2-1, not quite being able to hold it, especially when Arsenal weren't looking amazing until like the last 5-10 minutes.
Yeah.
It's kind of tough
And to
pill to
lose
swallow,
lose it at the death.
especially when you're a young team like that.
Yeah, that's a tough one. But, they got a point away from home.
True.
We march on, Palace. We fly on, Eagles. Fly. Fly, Eagles, fly.
Before match week 9 predictions, we got our match week 8 team of the week right here. You ready for it?
Yes.
Mendy in net. And honestly, it wasn't as easy as you thought because there were a lot of good keeper performances this week.
Okay.
But
Okay.
Mendy, just too good out there. I gave our boy João, Tino Livramento, had to get him in the team. Chilwell, Ogbonna. I didn't know who to put for the second center back. I ended up going that game, but I went Lewis Dunk.
Okay.
Because I thought he could have had some chances, and he did a good enough job with the blocks and interceptions. Midfield of Mcginn, of course, Tielemans, Højbjerg. Up front, Salah, Firmino, Kane.
Yeah.
There it is. Team of the week. Now on to match week 9 predictions. We start off with the team we just ended with. Arsenal. They're back, baby. Arsenal and Villa at the Emirates again. What are you looking for most in this game?
Well, I expect Aston Villa to come out with a good performance. I think that their formation that they play, the 3-5-2, I think that'll really work well in this game, able to catch Arsenal on the break. It doesn't really matter that they give up space in the midfield because Arsenal
Don't do anything with it.
doesn't have a midfield. So,
But then you might say that, if Arsenal are able to hold their possession, maybe it'll be a little easier on them to pick their passes and stuff. You could maybe say that, but I don't know.
yeah.
With how uninspired Arsenal looked this last week when they're holding possession, I wouldn't back them to do it. You got a prediction?
I'm going to say like a 1-0 grinded out win for Aston Villa.
I'm going to go with the 2-1 for Villa. I don't feel great about it, but we're going to go 2-1 Villa. Chelsea, Norwich, the 6:30 game that everyone in America will wake up for.
What kind of banter lineup is Tuchel going to throw out for this one?
Oh my gosh. He might sub himself on.
He might.
Yeah, he might put himself as
Petr
number 9.
Cech?
It's just a Legends game. They're like, wait, they still have John Obi Mikel? But then again, Chelsea always lose to the worst teams.
True.
What are you looking for in this game? I'm looking for, I know he got hurt, so I don't think he's going to play, but I was coming into this going to say Lukaku to score a little bit. Maybe now you say Werner or Havertz to bag one.
Yeah.
Kind of get a little roll going with your striker. As far as that, I don't think Norwich are really going to be able to do much unless they somehow hit on the counter. And Josh Sargent shoots more than 2 miles per hour. I'm going to go Chelsea 3-0.
I would say for Norwich, maybe, keep building on their clean sheets that they've had 2 of strong defensive performances. But I think Chelsea will win 3-0.
Palace, Newcastle at Selhurst.
Yeah, this should be good. I think Palace should do pretty well in this match.
I think there will be a little room for Newcastle, assuming they play the same way under Steve Bruce, to maybe hit on the counter. You wonder with coaching changes, a lot of times it'll provide a fresh spark for a team, but that's when the team hates the coach. I don't know if Newcastle necessarily, like the players and stuff, hated Steve Bruce.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of players actually had a lot of respect for him. St. Maximin had a nice post, thanking him for all he did. He's a great guy. And yeah, I think the Newcastle players had a lot more respect than a lot of the fans did. That's for sure.
Yeah. I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw.
I'm going to say 3-2 Palace.
All right. And we move on. Everton, Watford at Goodison.
This could be a rough one.
For our eyes, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, Everton just have looked not very good going forward lately. And Watford, under Ranieri, we don't know what to expect because they couldn't do anything last week. I hope Ranieri doesn't try to utilize the midfield and just plays long balls like Chisco was, but I don't know. Who's going to hold the most possession even? Everton?
No.
Somehow?
They're just going to throw the ball in midfield and stand around it. This one, I think, this is the game I look for that managerial boost from Ranieri to come in. Maybe Watford can steal a win here.
What are you thinking? What's your prediction?
I'm thinking 2-0 Watford.
Wow.
Yeah.
Your first Watford prediction on here. I'm going to go 1-0 Everton. It's going to be a Townsend penalty. And it's just going to suck the rest of the game. Leeds, Wolves at Elland Road. Leeds' defense has looked so stinky.
Yeah.
If they're still injured to all hell, I would go Wolves 2-0.
Yeah, I don't expect much out of Leeds. Wolves, I'd like to see them build on their strong second half that they had. I'm going to say 1-0 Wolves.
Southampton, Burnley at St. Mary's. This is a big part for Southampton. They can build off this, or they could just let it go to waste and get Burnley their
absolutely.
first win.
Yeah.
You can call it an anti-jinx, but I'm going Burnley 1-0.
Burnley's got to win a game sometime, so I'm going to go Burnley 2-1.
It's bad that I don't like that we pick the same stuff, but I feel so confident that Burnley's somehow going to win this game. It's
They've
unbelievable.
got to.
Brighton, Man City at the Amex. With no Basuma, it's going to be tough. But Brighton, on their defense, I like their defense. I like the defensive aspects to their midfield play.
Beat Man City here last year. They also got a red card early on. So
yeah, Man City are such a good team. We're going to go with a 2-0 City.
3-0 City.
3-0.
Yep.
Brentford, Leicester at the Community Stadium.
This one should be a good game.
Yeah, Leicester kind of swinging back into form. Maybe they can get something going here. Brentford, still a good performance last week, but can they actually get the result this week? Is there a certain aspect of this game that you want to watch? Whether it be I think I'm going to be watching to see if Leicester's midfield can still play even half as well as they did last week, because Brentford's midfield's better than United's. Simple as.
Yeah. I'd like to see the battle of the striker pairing-ships that they got.
Okay. Who's more effective?
Jamie Vardy and a Iheanacho versus Ivan Toney and a Mbumo. See what you got.
I like that. I'm going to go with a 2-2.
Yeah, I was thinking 3-3.
Oh, yes. Let's go. West Ham, Tottenham at the London Stadium. As far as this one goes, I want to see whose defense is a little more stable, because both teams can clearly attack, but I want to see if one can kind of, hold their own as far as defense. I'm going to go with a 2-1 Tottenham win.
I feel like this one's going to be another one of those where West Ham has a lot of the possession, but they just can't really make much of their chances or create too many chances in general. I'm going to say a 1-1 draw.
I like that. And finally, what lines up to be game of the week? United, Liverpool.
Massive.
Old Trafford. What are we looking at here?
I think this has the potential to be very, very scary for United. That midfield versus Salah, Mane, Firmino could be nightmarish.
It's one of those things where your heart or your brain tells you that Liverpool is going to win this easily, but there's always just one or two things in these big games that gets thrown out the window and both teams play like neck and neck.
Yeah.
I'm going to go 3-2 Liverpool.
I like that. I'm going to say 4-2 Liverpool.
Okay. Can hear Arlo White already. Oh, Mohamed Salah!
And that's the look of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who might be sacked in the morning. All right, my prediction for this week. We're going to have a goal from Chris Wood. Woo!
Oh.